Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to this week's Twitter Space. Happy to have everyone here. I'm Xandra and I am the community manager for CharmVerse. For those of you not familiar, CharmVerse is a Web3 community platform for managing members, coordinating tasks, facilitating decisions, and holding each other accountable. Members sign in with crypto wallets and gain access via community tokens and NFTs. And it brings together onboarding, payment management, proposals, project trackers, and data repositories all in one place. If you haven't checked it out yet, please do after this space. Also, I encourage everyone to share the space. So let's get some more people in here. Last week, we were talking public good DAOs. This week, it's all about Impact DAOs. And today, I'm joined by Deepa of Impact DAO Media and Daila of HumanDAO. And we're going to be diving into what it means to be an Impact DAO, some of the specific missions they're working on, and their overall thoughts and experiences of being part of a DAO. Daila, Deepa, welcome. Thanks for taking the time to chat.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having.
Oh,
It's
I'm
Daila
sorry.
actually, but nobody ever gets on the first try.
I googled
so you're
it.
good.
I
The
even
first 10
googled the
tries, for that matter.
pronunciation.
It's Daila, just like the DAI token.
All right.
It's
Well, that
Daila.
works well then. I apologize. Usually I check, but I was feeling too confident apparently.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me today.
Of course. Well, let's start with you, Daila. There are many types of DAOs. There are investment DAOs, social DAOs, curation DAOs. The list keeps going. Why don't you tell us what it means to be an Impact DAO? And then from there, tell us about HumanDAO and the mission you are working toward.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Impact DAOs, to me, are unique opportunities that combine the benefits of DeFi and Web3 communities, so that we can create solutions for real world issues like, in our case, improving the quality of life for those with limited resources. So I think it's a really significant genre, I guess I would say, in the DAO space. For HumanDAO, it's a community that originated based in play to earn gaming, which has evolved to become more of an entry point into exploring one's personal potential for economic growth. So our mission is to empower underserved global communities through education and provide proper living wages through opportunities and work in Web3.
Fantastic. I wanted to say actually that we have at CharmVerse been working with HumanDAO to write blogs using your Pocket Assistant program, which has been super cool. So if you're not familiar, the HumanDAO Pocket Assistant program, check it out. It is a program that further provides opportunities for graduates of the academy to earn a living as a pocket assistant by completing personal, administrative, lead generation, and Web3 research tasks in exchange for crypto, which is super cool. So we actually just released our blog post, I think on Tuesday, and it's really just about HumanDAO and what you're doing over there, which is really cool. So happy to give that a shout out. And then another program I thought was really cool is the HumanDAO Academy, which offers accessible Web3 training modules to help onboard new members to Web3. So very cool project. Excited to learn more about your experiences within the DAO as well. Deepa, as I mentioned, you're with Impact DAO Media, another fantastic project. Let's familiarize our listeners with your mission.
Yeah, so think of Impact DAO Media as Bankless DAO. So we are a decentralized media organization, but our focus is exclusively to highlight the good side of crypto. So all the great stuff that's happening in crypto, people that are building to make positive impact in the world, for instance, HumanDAO. So these are the people and these are the organizations, the Impact DAOs that we want to highlight through storytelling and through all form of content, whether it be long form, micro, using multiple platforms like Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, basically getting the word out, not just within Web3. I think in Web3, there is an understanding and people are still familiar with the great stuff that's happening in crypto, but the mainstream perception is so bad and the current events don't help with that. So we want to be louder and also create some drama just so that we can get our stories ahead and highlight these builders. That's our objective.
I love it. And you released a book recently, right? You published a book earlier this year?
It's coming out next week.
Oh, I thought I saw
Hopefully
something
before
about
Thanksgiving.
April.
That's our objective. We want to get it out before Thanksgiving. So we've been working on it for almost 5 months now. We started a DAO to research Impact DAOs. What are these organizations? How do they function? How do they get work done? How are they making an impact? Because these are internet native nonprofits or internet native grant making organizations, but their impact is felt in the real world. And so we wanted to really study them intensively, and we picked 12 Impact DAOs for our study, HumanDAO being one of them, Gitcoin, DreamDAO, Common Stack, Proof of Humanity, Impact Market, Good Dollar. So we selected some of the best 12 Impact DAOs that existed as of June 2022, and we included them in our study. And we had conversations with the builders, almost close to 30 builders, not just the founders, but also the contributors, to understand how work gets done, how do they organize themselves behind the scene, and just to study the impact. So now that the research is being concluded, we are writing this book, which is meant to be for people who are new to Web3 or who are Web3 curious and would love to know what's happening in this space. So the book is going to be written in a fashion that it's easy to understand everything that's happening. We will break down every single concept so people can get inspired by these 12 DAOs and learn about Impact DAOs and what DAOs are and the whole different narrative about crypto that's never told. So that's the idea with the book. It's coming out next week.
Well, congratulations. That's super exciting. I will definitely be checking it out. I think the more information we can have about DAOs right now, the better. I think there's a lot of curiosity around them, and we still have some skeptics out there. And that's really why we wanted to do this series, just to help educate people about all the different DAOs that are out there, maybe how people found their DAOs, which I want to jump into that actually next, because it can be hard to figure out what DAO is a good fit for an individual person. It can be overwhelming. So first question, why did you go Impact DAO? And second question, how did you find your respective DAO? So let's start with you, Deepa.
Okay, so I have been writing about crypto's social impact for over a year. I have my personal publication called Crypto Good, where I document crypto's social impact use cases and highlight the builders. And this year, in February, Ukraine DAO came along and they raised $7 million for Ukrainians in 5 days. And I was highly inspired by their model because I come from the nonprofit sector. I've been a social entrepreneur my entire life. So I kind of understand that space really well. And I saw the speed at which Ukraine DAO moved and how quickly people around the globe collaborated to get them set up, like with multi-sig, NFTs, everything that they needed to fundraise at that point of time. And within 5 days, they raised $7 million. And I was totally blown away with that scale of collaboration. And I was like, this is going to be the model for doing good. It's not the nonprofit model. That's an outdated model. And this is the new model going forward, because every one of us here spend most of our time on the internet, and it's just far easier to connect with people on the internet than to connect with people in real life. So I wanted to really undertake a in-depth research on Impact DAOs for my publication initially to begin with. And then I was like, why don't we just convert that into a book, a book that people can just download and read. It's completely open source and free, and just spread the good word around and get people excited to build in Web3. Because these are unheard stories, right? And so for that, I wanted to collaborate with others. I didn't want to undertake the study myself. And I'm like, if I'm going to study DAOs, I better form a DAO myself and just get that very immersive learning experience. So I put out a call for collaborators. I detailed the study, what the study would entail, and what kind of people we're looking for. And I had a really short form for them to fill out, which basically just asked them for their Twitter or LinkedIn handle so I can screen them, because, on the internet, you need to be careful who you're partnering with. And so I put out this call for contributors, and Kevin Iwaki of Gitcoin happened to retweet that. And because of his retweet, I got like so many people applying to participate in this activity as a DAO. And they all filled out the form. I screened them, and there we got started. Like in 3 days, literally, we launched on Zoom and we set up a Discord server. And that was how we found our original team. Basically, it was just through a call for contributors for this project, and that team, 10 people who showed up on Zoom, became the original founding members of Impact DAO Media.
So cool. That's something I love about Web3 is the collaboration aspect. You know, you're like, I don't want to do this alone. Let's reach out to some people. Let's work together, spread the word, you know, more minds, more information. That's awesome. Daila, how about you? How did you find HumanDAO and why Impact DAO initially?
So, well, for me, I need to start with the fact that education opportunity is some to overcome poverty is something that is very incredibly personal to me. I grew up in extreme poverty, so I knew what it was like to grow up and knowing that there was only one way out of my circumstance, and that was learning a skill so that I can apply it. And thankfully I was, presented with opportunities, and people held their hands out and said, I can help you get through this, and allowed me to grow into my professional career. So my professional Web2 career was I had co-founded a transitional housing program for those with criminal records, and it was geared towards finding them resources to be productive members of society. Um, Through that, I found that simply giving them food or money was just not enough. They needed something that's sustainable, such as job training or sobriety programs, so that they can help themselves beyond what I could practically provide in my housing program. So that's how I learned the power of providing tools for self empowerment. With HumanDAO, I was actually approached by Chris, who's the founder of HumanDAO. He had messaged me on Twitter, and he had seen a lot of my content, and he's like, I think you'd be a great addition to our project. Let's have a conversation. And as we talked more, we talked more about HumanDAO and what I had done in Web2. We found that it was pretty much the perfect marriage of my Web2 ideals and what I wanted to do with Web3. It's actually the first DAO that I've taken an active part of, because I've been so selective with what I want to invest my time and attention into, because I'm kind of like a quality over quantity kind of person. So I wanted to have more narrowed focus, and I was so glad that it came along when he did, and he took that opportunity to talk to me about it. So with HumanDAO, it takes what I did a step further, because it creates these educational modules for our community. Like I said earlier, it was rooted in play to earn, and through that, we found that a lot of underserved communities around the world were looking for more opportunity just to have a fair supplement to income. A lot of people are making under $500 USD a month and living off of that. And we couldn't imagine that, living off of that ourselves. So, in creating educational modules that met them where they are, we even have them. A lot of our community population is Filipino, so we even have our modules translated into Tagalog if that's easier for them to learn. But we make it a point to meet them where they are, teaching them the essentials of Web3, everything from how to function in Discord to how to set up a MetaMask and basic administrative tools, so that they can take advantage of being a part of the Web3 ecosystem. One thing that Chris told me during the first conversation we had, that really stood out to me and was like, you know what, this is something that I can put my heart into, was he said Web3 is for everybody. And if there is something that breaks my heart, is seeing smaller communities, minorities, underrepresented in the space, not having the same kind of voice. These are communities that are capable, intelligent, resourceful, and there is no need, there is no reason why they shouldn't have a bigger claim, a bigger stake and claim in the Web3 world. So, in creating these educational resources and then subsequently creating pocket assistance, We're giving them the opportunity to work in Web3. Like you said, for CharmVerse, creating blog posts and being able to do Web3 research and be contributors. We see this more as not just like, oh, the opportunity. This is just the door they get into so they can kind of achieve past what we even have available to them. We want this to just be an introduction for them so that they can grow more into the Web3 ecosystem. What I love about having the educational program is there's a consistent body of knowledge for everybody. Um, there's a lot of support on the back end and and a lot of cheerleading from the team, but they gain these skills that are kind of, even for me, thinking, like, it would be nice, even living in the US and having access to this, to have had these things broken down in such a way that it doesn't seem intimidating, it doesn't seem like something that's unattainable, and gives kind of like a uniform, consistent consistent work quality to those who are working as pocket assistants for us. So we're able to provide a quality product. They're able to get work experience and learn these skills and be able to, I mean, we're really basically helping each other to grow into the Web3 world and to have a real impact in the world around us, past the limitations of, you know, just who we can reach in our close communities. We could actually do it, on a global scale. And we do compensate them in USDC, which is a big deal because the conversion rates internationally, are very beneficial to our communities. And that is a big deal for us to make sure that they are paid fairly and that they're respected for the work that they're done through their wages.
Absolutely. So important. And I love across both of you talking about your DAOs and Impact DAOs in general, the passion that you have in your voice talking about these projects, which I think is really important with a DAO because you're working as a community and you want people to be invested and engaged. You're working towards a common mission. And I really love hearing the passion in your voices talking about this and the education portion and really onboarding more people into this space. And you talking about skills, and Deepa, you talking about education and giving knowledge and bringing more people in to help you share that knowledge. So kudos to both of you. I'm excited to hear more. I want to kind of I want to give people an idea, if they're curious about DAOs, kind of the experience, your experiences. And I know not every DAO is different, right? Every DAO is different, so I'm sure you'll both have different answers. But I'd like to start with what you really find to be the true strength of a DAO or your favorite thing. Daila, you want to start?
Sure, absolutely. My favorite thing about DAOs is that it's a limitless opportunity for collaborative growth. Like I said, I had established and founded a transitional housing program, and one of my biggest obstacles was the red tape and how many how many people I had to go through to get approval for the most basic things, and it often turned away other nonprofits from even being able to do things because it made things so unattainable, because it was always, one or two desks that everything had to get to, and only a handful of people who made decisions over this, wide population of people who needed things, or wide body of people who are willing to put in the work to create these resources. So what I love about DAOs is that they kind of eliminate that. To have a voice, a real impact in the space or in the world is a difficult thing to do. But DAOs kind of allow for the little guy to be able to get involved with people who are and create a like-minded group and really work towards that common goal in a fair, balanced way. And to me, DAOs are what put the actual heart in Web3. That's where the real human element of Web3 comes in, is people coming together to be able to accomplish it. For me, my favorite thing about my DAO, HumanDAO, is the immense gratitude. If there's one thing I see as a theme over and over in the community, among the team, is this sense of gratitude of being a part of something that's really special. people are gaining skills that they didn't have access to before, and they're grateful for the opportunity. For the team, it's being able to see people's lives change and to have that kind of to be a part of something that is really improving people's lives generationally. It's not just a one-time thing. This improves lives for them, their children, their communities around them. And there is always a general sense of awe and gratitude. And we all take it very seriously and feel like it's a special thing to be a part of. And to me, it's really, really hard not to love your work when you see so much gratitude and appreciation around it. So if I can say anything that I love about my DAO is just seeing how everybody involved in it is just happy to be a part of it and grateful for the experience.
You're giving me chills. I love it.
I love my people. My God, I do. I geek out about them.
This is the thing. This is the passion. I think it's important for people to hear this. I think, being passionate about what you're doing because you are working with others towards that goal. You want people to be there. And if you don't want to be there, it's okay to walk away and find something that's a better fit. But, being passionate is really going to help you accomplish more.
For
Deepa,
sure.
I'd love to hear your take on this.
Yeah. So for me, I think the most favorite part of starting a DAO to study impact DAOs and to write a book is the community. I think I could have done this all by myself single-handedly, but I just wanted to do it with people on the internet and just get that feel of being, connecting the Web3 way, like just forming these connections which are not local but global. And so the community is the most important thing for me, and forming all these global connections to get this book out, which is coming out next week. We had 25 core contributors from, not, I think they were, yeah, we had 25 core contributors from all over the world, like including Nigeria to India to Mexico to America, Canada, Portugal. And this is impossible otherwise, right? Like you can never achieve this kind of distribution and difference in perspective and viewpoints, and this can only be achieved on the internet. And so I just wanted to experience that, and I just love the whole experience. It's the most beautiful part. All these everybody is now a friend. They're not strangers anymore. We began as strangers, but we are friends now. And just within my Discord, I have over 150 people in Impact DAO Media Discord, and I must have spoken to at least 70 or 80 of them personally, because I just love to get to know their stories, what got them to the Discord, And we are a very value aligned team. Our values are topmost. We will never do anything that will hurt anyone. And so we are very mission aligned. We're very value aligned. The first thing we did was list out our values, our mission statement, what is our vision. And so we attract a certain kind of people, and they're all very passionate people. They're driven, and it's very important to understand what drives them and what brings them to their Discord. So I've had like almost close to 80 conversations, like real one-on-one conversations with them. And it's just amazing to just hear their story and what excites them about Web3 and how they would want to contribute to just elevating this entire space. So I think community, connection, friendship, this is the most important thing for me, the most favorite part of being in a DAO.
I think that's really important to touch on. I think people that are just getting into Web3 or learning about it, they're like, oh, well, you're not to say you're never seeing people in real life, but you're not in real life. Can you have a real connection? And both of you are definitely saying, yes, community is real. We need each other to work towards this mission, to accomplish these goals. Friends, that start to feel like family. It's not just coworkers, like you go to work every day. You are building a true community. And that's beautiful. So on that note, we're going to flip it. It's not all butterflies and rainbows. So there are always pain points. Deepa, why don't you tell us about some of the pain points you experience within a DAO?
I think coordination is a pain point, something that I've realized. And I mean, this was a first time running a DAO, and the second season, now that we begin after the book is out next week, we start a second season in December. We'll be much smarter about it. We will organize ourselves better. But I think coordination was one of the key challenges. The way we just somehow, it was very time bound project because we knew we have to do the research and get the book out in 5 months. And me being a full-time contributor and everybody else being a part-time contributor or mostly, chipping in through bounties, it ended up me doing a lot of coordination. And so I think in the next season, we're going to decentralize that a lot. We're going to have great documentation, great workflows put in. We've got a team that's going to help us set up a Notion. And so people can be self-served and people know the workflows. And we'll just, I think, do a better job next season. But this season, what ended up happening was since I was a full-time contributor to this project, I ended up doing a lot of coordination. I mean, the part-time contributors are great and very passionate people. They all have full-time jobs and they pitch in the morning before work, during work, after work. So it's amazing to see that kind of passion. But I feel like just getting better organized internally and decentralizing work, so that one person doesn't become a blocker. I think that's going to be a focus for next season.
Absolutely. I mean, it's new, right? We're all still learning. You are some of the first guinea pigs in this space to be building these DAOs. So, Daila, tell me about some of your pain points that you've had to go through.
I think for us overall, a lot of our community had never been involved in crypto Web3 at all before play to earn gaming, and a lot of our community is very young. So so with that, it's not like we're forming a community of people who have already been involved in crypto in the Web3 world for a while and have that experience. People are completely green to everything of it. And our education program helps, but there's a bit of a learning curve. So it's a little tougher when there's such huge I guess gaps in the range of the experience of Web3 and the experience of being involved in a DAO, and there's a little more handholding and things have to go a little slower. But it's just kind of like you said, it's a pain point and it's a growing pain. At least we have recognized it and said, what we should do, just kind of like from the inside, let's figure out a way to make sure people know what they need to know so that they can both participate here, and if they wanted to move on and be active in other projects and DAOs, that they can do that. A lot like Deepa said, organization and just having kind of a more cohesive flow to things um, is definitely something that comes into play. But I think that's kind of what comes with the territory when you're organizing something like a DAO. When there's people that kind of come from all different backgrounds, and you want to say, I want everybody to be equally respected and share in the workload. There's some growing pains in kind of trying to balance out what that means to do it fairly across both experience and knowledge and capability. So I think that's it's probably similar to Deepa, but different and a little bit just based on the kind of community we have.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
just
go
wanted
ahead.
to pitch in there, and I wanted to say that through a study we also uncovered how Impact DAOs, or DAOs for that matter, are so different from traditional organization. And so we're going to be having in our book a little chapter that talks about future of work. And DAOs, I feel, are defining the future of work. And traditional organizations, they operate in a very different way, extremely different way. They're still very email. They're still very formal. Their job descriptions, things are done differently. It's mostly full-time employees on payroll, while DAOs are mostly bounty based and run on great vibes. And it's just a different model of operating. And the kind of people that get attracted to the DAO world are also entrepreneurial, because it requires contributors to take responsibility and to be self-driven and be before even asking, they basically are proactive and they just take on responsibilities and get the work done. So it's a different mindset altogether. And I feel we are all very early, and we are defining the future for the rest who would follow us in future very soon.
I love it. You jumped right into one of my next questions, which what do you two think is the future of, how are DAOs going to change the future of work? And Deepa, you just touched on some of that. So Daila, do you want to tell me what you think on this?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Deepa mentioned, it does attract people who are more entrepreneurial minded and people who don't mind kind of rolling up their sleeves and getting their hand dirty to really accomplish a goal. And that is something that that's really unique and something that I hadn't experienced in other NFT projects or other projects in this space. Um, like I said earlier, DAOs kind of eliminate that idea that the powers that be are the ones who control the direction of everything. And I think in doing that, it gives members freedom to create proposals and solutions that would truly work in the best interest of the organization. So a lot of times when you're working in a Web 2 project or a different project, there's a lot of the direction of the project is focused on the people at the top benefiting the most, and then there's a trickle down. Whereas when people are working in DAOs, you do think differently, and you think more well rounded, and in what works for kind of the the community body at large, because everyone has a say, and somebody can kind of call you out and be like, wait, this doesn't work for everybody. This isn't something that is in the best interest of everyone. And I think that there's a lot of power in that, in people actually having to reflect on the work that they're doing and saying, okay, well, like I do have to be like way more responsible with the decisions I'm making, because it's not just for this kind of like fraction of the group. I also think that it allows for better visibility and representation for marginalized groups, because they're able to join into communities that can accomplish more and have that bigger footprint. So, in being able to accomplish more of that visibility and representation, we can see more unique resources and more unique solutions that we might not think of, because there's something that kind of don't apply to our living style or community or culture. So, I think that's a really unique angle that DAOs will change and will kind of revolutionize the way we see work and the way we see collaborative work between projects, and the results that we'll get out of those.
Deepa, do you want to add to it? I know you
Oh
had some stuff, but please.
I have lots to add to this. I'm so
Yes.
excited. I think one of the reasons why I'm in DAOs is firstly because I love Impact DAOs. They are the future of organizing. This is how we will collaborate to solve global problems and also local problems. They could be DAOs at neighborhood level too. You don't have to form a global DAO to solve global issues. You can just solve your neighborhood issues. So I'm very excited about the space, and also I'm excited because this is the future. This is what the Gen Zs will go into. They will not be sitting in offices. And by default, because we are internet based, by default, we are remote and distributed. Unlike, say, a tech company claiming, oh, we have a physical office, but now we will allow our employees to go remote too. No, it's not the case. We by default are remote and distributed. And so the way we think about getting work done online, and right now everybody's early and we are experimenting and we're making mistakes, which is great, because there isn't any book for these DAOs that exist to learn from, right? We're writing one for Impact DAOs, but again, it will not be prescriptive. It will only talk about what we uncovered from studying these 12 Impact DAOs, because we want people to experiment. We want them to design work arrangements that works for their mission. So I love the experimental nature. I love how adaptive these organizations are. They're very agile. They change every season. They change from season to season. So if in a certain season, certain work streams, a certain way of organizing worked well, maybe they would continue with it. Or if it didn't, then they will rearrange everything and form different groups. So I love that kind of flexibility. I love that they are transparent and that they are open. Their Discord is like their office. Anybody can come and say hello to them. Like, I can't enter Facebook's office and go say hello to Mark Zuckerberg. But if Facebook was run like a DAO, then probably I could pop into the Discord and say hello to him, right? So it's very different. It's so open, approachable, inclusive, and I'm so excited because this is because for our internet governed lives, I think DAOs will become the norm they will be the way we will operate to get work done.
Not to butt in, but just I'm so glad that Deepa said something about being flexible, because that is something that I have noticed in working in DAO that I have not noticed anywhere else, is the ability to pivot as a team, especially being adaptable in this kind of market. Oh my gosh, you hit the nail right on the head, to be able to kind of get together and say, wait, we've got to change things up for the viability and the best interest of everybody, and to be able to make those decisions, like you said, being able to just kind of have that accessibility to each other without having closed doors or having to go through red tape is immense. Yeah, once once you work in a down mindset, it's kind of hard to think of productivity working better any other way.
100%. Yeah, I like that. You said, or you mentioned red tape earlier, and with DAOs, I mean, you can pivot, you can get faster results in a more fair and balanced way. I love that. Okay, so let's talk engagement. How's the engagement among both of your DAOs? Daila, you want to start on that?
Sure.
Is that an issue? Also, how large is HumanDAO?
Oh my gosh. Our Twitter community does not represent our DAO community close to, like, fairly, because we have over 63,000 members in our Discord. It is a very, very large community. But like I said, many of them were based in Play to Earn, and Play to Earn is their introduction into crypto and Web3. Um, so our engagement rate is probably close to around a quarter. However, that doesn't really work as a fair metric, because there are so many that come in that really don't know much about Web3 and don't have the confidence yet to feel like they can kind of take ownership and be involved as much. So there's kind of like that standard group who join in the snapshots and who are active in governance and in. But I think that the ratio changes as the community evolves, as we get further into education, as they get more comfortable in the role of being of taking their ownership in a DAO. We see that kind of evolution in the voting engagement rate.
I think it has to take time, right? You need time to onboard and figure out what the DAO is all about that you're a part of. And I think I hear that a lot. A lot of people just want to sit back and kind of listen and take it in and kind of see how it all works before they really start to get involved.
Yeah, I think with a lot of our community, they've kind of, and I relate to the mindset of being from a more impoverished community, that your job is really to just listen to what somebody else is telling you to do and complete tasks, and not necessarily you have an active ownership and get a say. So that is kind of like a little bit of a paradigm shift that sometimes we have to get over mentally, just to be able to even give ourselves permission to say, yes, I get a say. Yes, I can vote. Yes, I can say that this doesn't work. Because when you feel like you're in a position of disadvantage, you feel it's almost inappropriate to take that kind of role in an organization. So yeah, there's a little bit of a learning curve. There's a little bit of kind of like that mental block of how much power one can take, and how active they can be. But like you said, it just kind of evolves, and the more people learn, and the more they become comfortable with it, and the more the community evolves with each other, the better those metrics look.
Absolutely. Deepa, are you seeing something similar? Oh, first of all, how large is Impact DAO Media? And yeah,
Yeah.
what are you seeing as far as engagement?
Yeah. So in terms of our Discord, we have close to 150 members in our Discord. In terms of number of people actively contributing, there are about 25 people that participated in this research and book writing project, and we've learned a lot through this. Like, we started working as work streams with large number of people in every group doing different kinds of things. But now that we are towards the end of the book, we've realized the best model forward is being a pod, like a group of not more than 3 people or 4 people. So right now there are just 3 people engage work collaborating to write the book, edit the book, and just get it published. So we've come down to that model. It works great. The engagement is very tight knit, like 3 people. And we are not even using Discord to collaborate on. We are on Twitter group DM. So Twitter is a primary platform, I would say that. But because so everybody who's in crypto or who's in Web3 is on Twitter. So I feel like naturally, Twitter is so integral. And we happen to be both on Discord and Twitter. And I just feel Twitter is just more easy to collaborate sometimes. So we form pods on Twitter now that we're going to be putting our content on Mirror. And so we have a pod set up on Twitter to do that. So yeah, we moved from bigger work streams to a really tiny pods of not more than 3 and 4 people, because we've realized through the process of running a DAO for 5 months that that's the best way to get work done and to be highly engaged. Because if you're in a bigger group, you don't know who's taking responsibility for what, and now it's just easier to manage and to see tasks getting done. But in terms of engagement, otherwise, as I mentioned, I've personally speaking onboarded or at least got to know 80 of those people, and they're all we've just not had time to engage our entire community. But next season, when we begin in December, I think all 150 will be on board, and we'll get more people on board, because we want to be the leading voice of Impact DAOs. We want to elevate their stories. We want to take their stories outside Web3. It's very important we change the narrative. And we tell a different story, because this is not a story about crypto. This is the story about DAOs, the future of work, about impact, about doing good. So we need all the people possible with skill sets in media that can create content for us in different formats. So our community otherwise is very charged, very engaged, highly passionate. We GM every day in the morning, and the vibes are super positive. But as I said, we haven't engaged all of our 150 members yet, but they're there. Every time we need something, we have a channel which says need help with, and somebody or the other jumps in or gets activated. But otherwise, we started as big work streams, but we've now narrowed down to pods of not more than 3 or 4 people to just get work done faster with less coordination.
Yeah, interesting. I love hearing how different DAOs are going about it and operating. Deepa, are you doing votes through Impact DAO Media currently?
No. So actually, we have a lot to say about voting in DAOs. And we Impact DAO Media did a podcast on voting, which is not published yet, but next week it's going to be out, where we invited members from different DAOs like Proof of Humanity, All for Climate DAO, to talk about voting. So we don't vote in the traditional sense how DAOs vote, where every proposal is written and put up on Snapshot and voted upon, because we are a small DAO, as I said. We are only about 25 people who are really engaged. And so it doesn't make sense for us to add more processes. So the way we go about voting and deciding on matters is we put out ideas in our Discord, and people just discuss those ideas. If they agree, they just vote with an emoji. If they disagree, we open a thread and we chat till the time it's solved, or we've resolved the issue, or we've come to a common understanding why we're doing something. So the voting looks very, very different in a DAO. And I think a lot of people have come to realize in the DAO sphere that too much voting is not good. It just delays processes, and that's why we had that podcast, because we wanted to get people's opinion, DAO founders' opinions on and contributors' opinions on voting, basically how much to vote and how much voting is great. And so it's a very interesting podcast that's going to be published next week.
Yeah, I was going to give you a shout out to that podcast. I've listened to some of those episodes. For everyone listening, it's called All About Impact DAOs. And you can find that through their website, also on Spotify. I'll be dropping the websites for both of you later. We are running short on time. These questions go so fast. But Daila, I think you mentioned you use Snapshot. Is that true?
Yes, we do use Snapshot. Actually, anyone in our DAO can start a topic explaining their idea or proposal, and we have a community forum, a discussion forum, to respond to that. So it's very open. We want to kind of encourage anybody at any level to say, if you have an idea, bring it forward and let's talk about it. But yes, for voting, we do use a snapshot, which just kind of makes things simple and streamlined.
Absolutely. I want to talk about proposals a bit too, and I don't know if either of you how familiar you are, if at all, with CharmVerse. And I would love to give you both a walkthrough on there because it could be a platform that works really well. Some of our newest features is a proposal builder that we're really excited about. You kind of have a guided experience through building a proposal, and there's different phases at which you can have a private draft and then a public draft and then a discussion. So DAO members can comment or suggest edits. You can take polls on there. So instead of sending it to a formal vote, and Deepa, this made me think of you, instead of sending it to a formal vote, we just, make a comment and say, hey, what do you think about this? Just to kind of gauge the temp of where the DAO is at, before having to go to a formal vote. And then maybe you take that proposal back to that step, add some of those edits, make some different adjustments, and then send it back to the community to review again. And the whole thought process between that was just if the community is engaged in the building of the proposal and feel like they're heard from that point, in theory, they should be more engaged in the actual vote. So if any of that sounds interesting to you too, I would love to show you CharmVerse because it sounds like it could be a great platform for you.
I had a question about CharmVerse. So is it in place of Discord or is it integrated with Discord?
No, it is not in place of Discord, though we are working on building some kind of messaging chat in app. But no, it's not replacing Discord. It's really your task management along with assigning bounties to tasks, and you can pay out members for their work. You can build proposals. A really exciting piece we just launched is a member directory. And we believe this to be the best member management tool that exists in Web3 currently. So, like I said, I don't need to make this all about CharmVerse, but just what you two are saying seems like it could be a really good option. And I would be happy to do a walkthrough after this interview at some point. We could set something up.
Interesting, especially just preparing a proposal is something that's intimidating to begin with. So to be able to have something that kind of guides you through that process, I feel is something that would encourage people to have to want to put themselves out there and create proposals and not feel so intimidated by the process. I really love the way that sounds.
Yeah. That's right. And I think sometimes DAOs just have designated people to write proposals because voting and proposals is such a big part of DAOs. And so there are people who are just writing proposals. So I'm glad that your system makes it easy and it's guided. And I also feel like DAOs, because DAOs are so different, like the ones that launch with a financial token, it's so important that they have the say of all the token holders. And so voting is very important for them. But in case of Impact DAOs, I think there'll be a spectrum. Some will, the ones with tokens, again, the voting will be the topmost, just having fair voting on chain because there are these speculative financial tokens involved, and they're holders of that token, so they need to have a say. But otherwise, if like the future is non-financial, there are the Solvan tokens that will also be used for governance, and I think the voting is going to evolve too because what levels you vote on is going to be changing, because sometimes people vote on almost everything. Like if they want to make a small design change on their website, they'll come and vote on those matters. But does it make sense, or should just the designer with another person can just decide on whether to make those changes and just do it independently and go faster with that? So I think the voting is going to evolve. Right now it's all very different.
Yeah. You mentioned the proposals, and I just wanted to say one more thing. We have templates that you can build, so every proposal is kind of consistent. So when that member is going to write a proposal, it's not starting from scratch, right? And intimidating, overwhelming to say, well, I don't know what this is supposed to look like. So you could set up a template for people to choose from, and just kind of get them started.
Yeah, on that note, I just want to say on our All About Impact DAO's podcast, there's a podcast with the core contributor of ClimaDAO, Marcus. And Marcus spoke a great deal about voting in DAOs. They've had like a wild 1 year since they launched as a DAO at the very beginning. So the moment they launched their Klima protocol, which is for carbon credit markets, bringing carbon credit markets on chain, they also launched as a DAO from day one. And so they've learned a great deal going through the entire voting process, and now he has a slightly different view on voting. So I think anybody who's interested in learning about the challenges of DAO and voting should definitely listen to Marcus, because he's lived through that phase for an entire 1 year and has a different approach to it now.
I will definitely check that out. Okay, we are coming up on time. It went so fast, we didn't even get to all of our questions. But I do want to give you both an opportunity to kind of give some last shout outs about your DAO and what you're doing and ways that people can get involved if they're interested. Daila, why don't you start?
Sure, absolutely. Like we mentioned, I'm with HumanDAO. You can check us out at humandao.org or PA. It's PA.NFT. Oh my goodness, it's so so many of these that sometimes I lose track, and if I don't see the site right in front of me, I forget the designation. It's NFT. Bear with me for a second. I had like 3 different screens up, and I wasn't writing it. So
I love it. No, I do the same thing.
NFT.humandao.org is what it was. For goodness sakes.
NFT.humandao.org.
Okay.
Okay.
Please check us out. Right now we're in beta testing. If someone's interested in checking us out during beta testing, you can feel free to DM me, or you can DM the HumanDAO Twitter page, and I can check that out and get you started. But through the HumanDAO site, you can kind of get connected to everything from our tokenomics to links to see what our educational modules are. We have it pretty well mapped out, and we also have it pinned on our HumanDAO Twitter page if you wanted to see a variety of links there.
Thank you. Deepa, shout outs.
Oh, yeah. So Impact DAOs is Twitter handle. We have a Twitter handle, which is Impact DAOs, which is Impact and DAOs with like a S. And our website is impactdaos.xyz. That's where we will be launching the book next week, and the book will be available to completely free. You can basically read that entire book online on the website, or you could download a PDF and read the book. The idea is to make knowledge accessible, and people from all over the world should be able to access it. So it will not be charged at all. Like the digital copy will be absolutely free, and people can read it on their phone or on their laptop or whichever device they have. And besides that, in the first week of December, we're going to do a call for contributors, a fresh call for contributors as we start our next season. And we need all the people possible who have media skill sets and who are interested in highlighting the social impact stories in Web3 to join us. We need meme creators. We need video makers. We need podcast editors or podcasters. Like we're going to rethink this entire decentralized media organization for ourselves, and we want their inputs for that. We're not going to fork Bankless DAO. We're going to build it ground up. What makes sense for us, and so it's going to be radically different looking, and we just need everybody's inputs. Whoever's interested in social impact and media and Web3 should definitely apply when we do the call for contributors on our Twitter handles, Impact DAOs and mine, and some of our other team members who would tweet about it in the first week of December.
Fantastic. Listeners, I mean, you hear the passion in their voices. Fantastic projects. Definitely go check out the websites. Like I said, check out the HumanDAO Academy program from HumanDAO and the Pocket Assistant program. CharmVerse is currently using it. It's been a great experience. Really excited. So keep an eye out for that Impact DAO book, The Guide to Everything Impact DAO, a book written by a DAO for those who want to build their own DAOs. And definitely go check out All About Impact DAO's podcast. Like I said, you can find that on their website and Spotify. Daila, Deepa, you two are absolute pleasures to speak with. Thank you for doing the work you're doing. It is awesome to watch, and I'm really excited to follow along on the journey. Everyone, go check them out. It's really great what they're doing out there. If you're looking for a DAO to become a part of, these two could be it. Great communities, great people in charge. So thank you, you two. I wish we could get to everything, but like I said, if you have any questions about CharmVerse, please reach out. I'd be happy to give you a walkthrough. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Really enjoyed it.
I appreciate you taking the time to be here. Like I said, you've both been fantastic and so informative about Impact DAOs and specifically the organizations you're a part of. So I'm sure you'll be hearing from some of our audience.
Thanks again. Love this. Thank you.
Thank you. Deepa, have a great day. And yeah, thanks again for being here. And I look forward to catching up with you two another time. Bye, everyone. Thanks for stopping by.
Sounds good. Thanks. Bye, everyone.